So, I'm not completely dumb. There is a primary in South Dakota.
Oh, there is?
Yeah, and coincidentally, her father lives out there.
I see.
So I asked the kid from Colorado, I say, have you been watching the Winter Olympics? And he says, no. And then he puts 5 golf balls in your mouth. And then you kind of realize why. You know, he's got a hobby. He doesn't need to watch TV. Our next guest can be seen regularly on ABC's This Week with David Brinkley, and also with Peter Jennings on World News Tonight. And she is heard covering the political scene for National Public Radio. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Cokie Roberts. Cokie! Thank you very much. This must be, I guess this is the time of year or the time in a career that you either love and thrive on or just dread and becomes drudgery and fills you with hate and anxiety. Which is it for you?
Well, I didn't dread it as much as I just found out that I would, because
I'm sorry.
I wonder why it is that after a year and a half I come on after Stupid Human Tricks.
Oh, no. They were like opening for you. They were sort of, I don't want to say setting the mood for you, but, you know.
I can do one.
You have one for us?
I can.
Anton.
There you go.
Very impressive.
I wasn't planning to do that.
You know, it helps if you paste that up there with a little beer. First of all, may I ask you, oh, here it is. We have it in, oh, we saw it already? Let me ask you about your name. Is that all right? Cokie? I've not heard that name. I don't think, you know, I've heard Corky, but not Cokie.
Have you imagined why I might have such a name? I mean,
yes,
have bad things come to mind?
No, nothing bad. I mean, just, you know, but I ruminate about it from time to time.
Well, it's not quite as bad as Desert Storm, Country Blossom, whatever the rest of it was. But it's almost like that. It's Mary, Martha, Corrine, Morrison, Claiborne, Boggs, Roberts.
Wow, now that is certainly some name.
It's Catholic.
Yeah.
And Southern.
And then how do we get Cokie out of that? Is Cokie like the first initial of all of those names?
No, figure that out. No. My brother Tommy couldn't pronounce Corrine, which was the main one at the time. So.
And so it became Cokie when you were a kid growing up?
When I was an infant, born, you know, came home from the hospital and he screwed it up and there it was.
And that was it.
But various times in my illustrious career, various bosses have tried to get me to be more formal on the air. And when I went to National Public Radio, Frank Mankiewicz was the boss there, and he suggested that I sign off with my full name, and I said that it would probably take more airtime than we had for the pieces, so...
Yeah, not enough time in the broadcasting day for that.
So he backed down.
Yeah, but you know, it's the kind of thing, once you hear it once, it's fine, it's Cokie.
All right,
oh, her name is Cokie,
There was a period when I thought that when I got to be a lady of a certain age that I should probably return to Corrine, but now I'm that age and...
No, Cokie, but it's fine. I find it becomes you.
Thank you.
Now, let's talk a little bit about you and the primary. I guess you spent all day yesterday in New Hampshire, didn't you? Or maybe even part of today.
All night, and all...
What can you tell us about that process and about the situation in particular up there that we ought to know? Should we know anything? Do we learn anything from this? Did you see Paul Tsongas here?
Well, the first thing you should know is that his charisma did precede him into the studio. This is his standard line. If you don't have charisma, marry it. And Nicky Tsongas came in first, so he does allow his charisma to proceed.
Well, yeah, they're a team then.
Yes, they're a team. And in fact, the South Dakota thing that you were talking about, the reason he brought up his father-in-law is a football hero of ancient days in South Dakota, so that this liberal Greek-American from Massachusetts will suddenly be an all-American football son-in-law in South Dakota and expects to ride in on his father-in-law's cleats.
Now let me ask you some... So, you know, we could do that as a trick one of these nights. But let me ask you a pedestrian question here. It was my observation, all kidding aside, he seemed scared. Now, I would be scared, too, going into somebody else's show, but
Before Stupid Human Tricks.
Yeah, under any circumstances. But now he's won the first big contest, so what, those two things combine to give us what? What is his political future, I guess, is what I'm trying to say.
Seriously?
Yeah.
Well, he's got a tough road to hoe, as we political analysts say. He's won a neighboring state, but now he's got to go into states where no one's ever heard of him, and where he gives this very serious economic message, and I don't know whether people want to hear that or not.
Well, yeah, but we're told that people want to hear that,
he's got to raise a whole lot of money.
Yeah.
To give that message. In New Hampshire, you can meet every single solitary person in New Hampshire, and they hold it against you if you don't meet them.
Yep.
Although I'm beginning to hold it against them for meeting them, but at least they're not Iowa.
Yeah.
But that's another
No, wait a
story.
minute. What is the matter with Iowa?
Well, I always get in trouble on this one because Iowans hate me. But it's it's mutual.
What the hell happened out there?
Iowa is really cold. Now, New Hampshire's cold, but Iowa is unbelievably cold. And it's far distances. New Hampshire, you can get around in a short period. Iowa, you drive 8 hours. You see nothing for all those 8 hours. You should try those local hometown newspapers in Iowa. Those people go so crazy in the winter that I'm not making this up. There's a headline a week, farm woman buries husband under dining room table, and digs him up in spring, that kind of thing. It's true. And it's a place that people can get very stir crazy in the wintertime, and politicians get particularly stir crazy. Yeah. And you go and you cover a campaign out there, and what this involves is millions of politicians running around and meeting every single person in Iowa, of whom there are about 6, over and over and over again. And then the night finally comes, the entire international media is there. There are a forest of satellite trucks and dishes and all that. And you go and sit in somebody's living room. There are more of us than there are of the people there. And the way an Iowa caucus works is that you say, all the Gebhardt supporters in this corner, all the Simon supporters in this corner, all the Babbitt supporters in this corner, all the Jackson ones. Everybody gets up and they go to their corners. And then, I'm not making this up, and then if somebody...
It's like a Mary Kay party or something, isn't
it? Except you don't get made up. And if somebody doesn't have enough delegates, enough people in their corner to reach a 15% threshold, then they can't send their delegates on to the county convention. That's what we're talking about here. So what will happen is Mary Sue will say, or Mary Kay, will say, oh, come on, Peggy, come on over to my corner, because I want to go to the convention.
They share.
That's right. And so her corner will be the Jackson corner, for instance, right? Yeah. And so then Jackson reaches the threshold, and we all go on the air and say, in a surprising move, Jesse Jackson has just come in second in the Iowa caucus. We didn't have to do that
But
this year.
when you say negative things about people in Iowa, you're forgetting one thing.
They're very nice people.
There are interstates out there. They can get in their cars, and they can come here and find you.
That's true. But I'm not going to be here for long.
Very, very careful. Do me a favor. Say hello to those boys down there in Washington on David Brinkley's show.
My guys.
George Will and Sam Donaldson and those other lunatics.
My guys.
Nice to see you, Cokie. Thank you very much for being here. Cokie Roberts, kids. We have to pause for a station identification. We'll be right back.